In this opportunity, we are going to see the use of the transfer command. There are three types of transfer command. There is the probabilistic transfer command, the both transfer command, and the unconditional transfer command. To better explain these kinds of transfers, we are going to see the next demonstration. This is an example of a process. The arrival of the clients or the arrival of the entities presents every 5 seconds. 2/3 of the entities go to process 1. The rest go to process 2. In any of those processes, the entities wait in line until one server is free. The attention time of each server is 10 seconds. After finishing the first step, they go to or they try to enter a line with a capacity of 3. If one of those 3 spaces is free, they wait in line. Otherwise, they leave the process early. When one of the 3 servers is free, they leave this line and get a 1-minute attention. After this attention, they exit. In order to see how the transfer command works, we can see that at the arrival, they divide. 2/3 go to process 1 and 2/3 go to process 2. 1/3, excuse me. This is an example of how to use the probabilistic transfer. After finishing the process, we have an entity on process 1 and an entity on process 2. They both are going to try to enter this storage with a capacity of 3. After finishing each process, we are going to need an unconditional transfer. For reviewing if the storage has one space free for the entity to enter, that's where we are going to use the transfer both. If they can enter the process, they are going to execute this line. Otherwise, they are going to leave early. That's the example of the transfer both. Now, we are going to see a brief simulation, an animation of this simulation to see how it works. This is a demonstration of how the process works from the beginning of the arrival of the entities until they are finishing the process. We can see how they behave across the system. After this explanation, we are going forward with the use of the transfer command. For this, we are going to see this little program, this little GPSSW program, where we are using the different types of transfer command. First of all, we define a storage facility with a capacity of 10 spaces. Then we generate transactions every 3 minutes with a standard deviation of 1. After this, we transfer 70% of this distribution to a line called process 1. The rest, the 30% that we have, is going to a line called process 2. Process 1 and process 2 are labels in our program. So I repeat, 70% goes to process 1, 30% goes to process 2. Once in process 1, we enter a line, seize a server, depart the line, advance with an average of 5 minutes and a standard deviation of 1. We release the server and we unconditionally transfer to a line called next. Let's pay a little more attention on this transfer. This is the unconditional transfer. It has no a parameter, so it starts with a comma and then the name of the line. In the probabilistic transfer, the a parameter, it's a fraction and indicates the fraction of the distribution that it's going one way or the other. The transactions, the 30% of the transactions that were sent to the line called process 2, enter a line, seize a second server, depart the line, advance with an average of 4 minutes and a standard deviation of 2, release a second server, and they also unconditionally transfer to a line called next. In this line, the next line, the line with the label next, we have the last type of transfer, the transfer both. The a parameter is both, and both works this way. First, it tries to enter to the line with the label can, and if not, it's going to the line called label cannot. So when an entity arrives to this line, first tries to go to can. In this line called can, it tries to enter an storage called LNE3 that is a storage with a capacity of 10. If one of those 10 spaces is free, then it enters, seize the server, leave the line, advance with an average of 6 minutes and a standard deviation of 1, releases the server, and terminate. If this storage were at its full capacity, then it's not going to go to this line, but it's going to go to the line labeled cannot. In cannot, the clients, the transactions, just finish the process. So let's review one more time this program and the process that it is trying to explain. First of all, we define a storage with a capacity of 10, and we call it LNE3. We generate transactions. We transfer 70% of the transactions to process 1 and the rest to process 2. Once in process 1, they enter a line, seize a server, depart a line, advance, release the server, and transfer to a line called next. What a transaction in the programs do is jumps from here to here. For those who went to process 2, they enter a line, cease a server, depart a line, a different line, advance, release the server, and transfer to a line called next. In the next line, there is a transfer both that goes first to can, and if not, to cannot. Once in can, tries to enter a storage with a capacity of 10, seizes a server, leave the storage, advance, release the server, and terminate. Those who couldn't enter this storage go to cannot and just terminate. The ones that can't go to can go to this line and just terminate. They don't do this part of the process. And with this example, we can see the 3 different kinds of transfer command. These were the probabilistic, the transfer both, and the unconditional transfer.